From job site to boardroom, Trades Talk is the voice of the next generation trades. Hosted by Justin White, this show is your weekly dose of real talk, motivation, and strategy from the disruptors raising the bar in the trades. If you're building, scaling, or leading, this is your playbook. Welcome to Trades Talk.
Hey friends, welcome back to another weekly update. Week number 12 here, clocking in August 22nd. Happy Friday, y'all. We're recording and dropping this late in the afternoon as today was a busy day, and this week's been insanely busy at K&D. And I'll tell you guys why here in a minute. Stay tuned. Next week, we got a big weekly update, number 13. We got a big announcement we're dropping, so stay tuned for that. A lot going on. Let's jump into it. We only have 15 minutes in these weekly updates, so I need to get to it really quick. Here it is, guys. We kicked off a 6-week sprint this week. So if you look at your calendar, Monday of this week, more or less, kicks off a 6-week sprint to the end of the quarter, into quarter 3. And I always looked at things in 90-day segments, and we always worked on this quarterly basis. And I was talking to Mark Bradley recently, and he was explaining to me this idea of a 6-week sprint. And so I said, well, why not try this? So we kicked off a 6-week sprint at the beginning of this week, and K&D is on fast forward. We are on rocket speed right now, and I think we're going to set some records. I think we're going to set some records in 1 day revenue, 1 week revenue, and 1 month revenue. We got some kind of insane goals that we set for September, and I'm highly confident our team's going to be able to come through and set a record revenue month for the month of September. Our sales are there, our backlog's there, our production teams are there, everyone's trained and ready to go. We're dispatching an incredibly talented and skilled team into the field every single day. Our project managers are totally checked out and are totally just locked into what we were trying to do. We got some potential leakage around the edge as we accelerate the machine, as we accelerate our process going into the next couple weeks. And so we're expecting some of that feelings of like the wheels falling off, but we're totally prepared for it, and we're prepping our team for it. On that note, highly skilled, educated, and trained workforce, guys. We use a product called Greenius for this. Greenius is what we use when we're building out our growth plans. Greenius is what we're using when we're building out our onboarding plans. When we want our teams to start safely, we have them go on to Greenius and do safety training before they even show up for their first day of work. It's an incredible onboarding process we've built, and it's all automated and it's all online. We, of course, back this up with on-the-job training and real in-the-field work. But Greenius, I just had to plug them. When we're talking about high-skilled, we're talking about highly educated. Greenius is an incredible program. So anyway, check them out. It's just, we've been using them for 5 years with incredible success. And I just want to shout that out. All right, back to the 6-week sprint. So I want to encourage you guys all to think about this. And while there may not be exactly 6 weeks left, you truly have 5 full weeks of operating capacity left in the third quarter, the rest of August, and 4 full weeks of September. So what I want to encourage everyone to do is set a September goal right now. What do you want to get done in September? Is it revenue-based? Is it employee-based or culture-based? Is it personal-based? Is it client-based? Is it client retention or client satisfaction? We're going into a slower season in the landscape industry, although we are going to work every week to make sure that doesn't happen to you and me. Excuse me. We are going to be going into September, October, and November with incredibly big backlogs and a lot of momentum and speeds. Don't worry about this winter. I've got a plan, and if you stick to it with me, we're going to get through it with incredible success. Let's set some records. So the next 5 weeks is incredibly important, and I just want to highlight that to you guys. Like, now is the time to set those targets. Now is the time to build that plan, and now is the time to rally your team around a common goal for the next 5.5 weeks. Okay, moving on. This week, we had an incredible webinar that I got to sit in and watch. I wasn't on it, and it was with Jeff Harkness. Jeff Harkness gave one heck of a presentation about M&A within the landscape industry. And I got some takeaways from that. I listened in on it, and as Jeff always does, he just has such an incredible way of explaining certain things within the buy and build strategy, certain things within the EBITDA multiples, and why it's better to have $3 million in EBITDA than $1 million in EBITDA and all that kind of stuff. So Let's dive into a few things. First off, buy and build still wins, but be selective. So he's basically saying that the most attractive deals are bolt-on that deepen service lines and density, especially in maintenance, turf, irrigation, tree care, recurring revenues, and technician-driven work such as irrigation work, for example. These are high-margin opportunities to acquire businesses and build on to what you already have, but you have to be selective. Secondarily, multiples hinge on size and quality of earnings. So you can have the size without the quality of earnings, or you can have a lack of quality of earnings and the size, and you're going to struggle with those two things. So what we need to do is make sure that we have both. We have a large EBITDA, which EBITDA for all you guys listening is earnings before interest, taxes, deductions or depreciations, and amortization. It's depreciation and amortization. So EBITDA, EBITDA. And the higher your EBITDA, the higher your multiples are going to be. So let's just say you have $500,000 in earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. Well, you're only going to maybe get a 3, 4, 5x multiple on that $500,000. You get that to $5 million. Now you're getting a 8, 10, 12x multiple on that $5 million of EBITDA. I mean, it depends on your market, your quality of earnings, all those things, right? But I'm just throwing out some numbers. Now, here's the interesting part. If you are a $5 million profit business, an EBITDA profit business of $5 million or more, and you buy a $500,000 business for 5x, well, that profit, that $500,000 immediately becomes 10x or a 10 times multiple on that. So you double your money in terms of value because you're bolting onto a business that is already of size. And we call that EBITDA arbitrage. And that's how most private equities work, right? They go and buy a bunch of companies at 7x multiples, and then they sell it at 15x multiple. They double their money in terms of the multiple of EBITDA, and then they add organic growth on top of that. Bada bing, bada boom, they're at a 3 to 4x on their investment. And once you leverage that with debt, as far as your cash, your investment on invested capital, invested cash, we can see a really high return, right? We're talking 8, 9, 10x return on their invested cash because they're leveraging up. Anyway, I'm going to go in a rabbit hole if I keep going on that. Let's keep moving. Jeff Harkness always says geography matters. So if you're in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, even Oklahoma, you're probably going to get a better multiple than if you're in Texas or California right now. Why? Because Texas and California have very difficult immigration situations. They're not E-Verify states, and buyers are worried about the volatility of your labor status. Capital and rates look good. So investors are actively deploying capital from well-ran firms because they have favorable terms. They're providing good debt coverage, and the cash flows are not that tight. So we're seeing a really nice market for invested capital. Buyers are paying for basically 5 key values, right? We're looking at recurring revenue. We're looking at margin, discipline, price integrity. We're looking at leadership depth and incentives, documented process and tech enablement, very important, and customer concentration risk kept low. Those are the 5 driving value points that Jeff Harkness highlighted in his webinar. And finally, why should you be a buyer? Well, you should be a buyer in today's market because there are massive amounts of businesses that are looking to sell. Whether it's a small mom and pop that's just no succession plan, or it's a large company that's looking to sell, there's a lot of people looking to sell. No matter how big you are, if you're a $100 million company or a $1 million company, acquisitions should be on your radar. I'll also flip this a little bit too. Selling your company should also be on your radar. Now, I don't mean sell your company because you're going to make a bunch of money, but prepare your company to be exit ready. I talk a lot about this, and Jeff Harkness talks a lot about this. Having a company that's exit ready is a company that's well ran, a company that has disciplined financials, a company that focuses on recurring revenue, a company that focuses on employee wellness and employee tenure and employee culture, a company that focuses on high customer retention, a company that focuses on high net profit, a company that emphasizes growth. You guys, all of these key performance metrics that I'm listing here are great reasons to operate your business with an exit-ready mindset. Don't have to exit it, but if a business is not owner dependent and you have all these other key factors, it's an incredibly valuable business to just cash flow. So there's no problem with building a exit ready business and then never, ever selling it. I read a book one time, and I don't remember the author, but the title was How to Build a Business That Everyone Wants to Buy and You Never Want to Sell. And I think that's a great mindset to have. All right, we're going to go, and a quick shout out on the webinar front. Lawn and Landscape is doing a Platform Partners webinar August 28th, so in a few days, from 9 to noon. I think that's Eastern time, but check it out. Just search Platform Partners, Lawn and Landscape. They're doing a webinar. And there's a bunch of great platform companies that are going to have a 20 or 30-minute spot to share with the world what their strategy is and why you might want to consider partnering with them. I had the opportunity and the privilege, might I add, to interview Jeff and Mike from KeyServe Companies out of the Southeast, Florida, Georgia area. Well, they're a very well-ran private equity-backed company. And the cool thing about KeyServe is they didn't have a private equity come and invest in a legacy company. Jeff, and that's Jeff Dominic, his story is incredible, and you got to listen to it to get the whole deal. He was actually one of our first podcast guests on Trades Talk. So anyway, I know a lot about him, and he did a startup with private equity. So he started from the very beginning, culture-focused, people-focused, and a buy and build strategy focused on building, not cutting cost. So anyway, you'll hear about that on August 28th, 9 to noon, if you guys want to tune in. It is free to attend. The other thing that I want to remind you guys to check out is, and you may have already listened to it by now, is Tom Havlin's episode on Trades Talk that launched on Wednesday of this week. Tom is an OG in the landscape industry, and he shared so many amazing insights, secrets, and experience in his podcast that we dropped on Wednesday. That was an honor to record with Tom. Tom's, I would consider him a mentor of mine, someone I look up to, someone I've gleaned a lot of knowledge from, and it was just kind of a surreal moment to have him on the podcast and just to hear his story of what he's done, exiting his landscape business that his dad bought, and then he grew, and then ultimately working for Brightview for a number of years, and then really ultimately starting Verde Property Services that he is CEO of now today, and they're just such a well-ran company in the greater Southwest now. They're in Phoenix, they're in Southern California, soon to be other states and other areas, and really just an exciting interview. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check that out. The other thing I wanted to plug in today is AI. And I talk about AI constantly, but ChatGPT, as of today, August 22nd, has just released some new co-working options, ways that you can actually collaborate internally within ChatGPT using your team collaboration and sharing projects and sharing workspaces. So I just saw the update and I was just checking it out before I started recording this. But if you guys want to check that out, please do. ChatGPT is just one of many large language models that are making our lives so much easier, making you as an executive, as a leader, as a professional, so much, hopefully so much better. And so much more successful. And I think this new upgrade is definitely worth checking out. And I always like plugging a little AI in here because I do think it's part of our future and a big part of our future. And those who define the rules today and how we utilize AI, you guys are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. Those who don't do anything will have to play by those rules you write. So keep that in mind as you go forward. Last, final thing, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Alex Hermozi, some of you may know, some of you may not know who Alex Hermozi is. He just released his third book called $100 Million Offers. It's available on Spotify, and he did the whole audiobook on Spotify and just read it and uploaded it for free. So you go listen to that right now for free on Spotify. It's an incredible book, $100 Million Offers, Alex Hermozi. Search The Game podcast. I'm part 3, so I'm like, I don't know, an hour in, hour and a half in. Wow. So much content, so much valuable information, so much that you can put in play. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys right back here. Weekly update number 13 around the corner.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.